Hey book nerds, welcome back to my channel, The Book Nerd. Today I'm just going to be doing a lot of talking, and what I want to talk with you about is my top 5 favorite authors, at least for now. So this isn't, it changes, it's ever evolving as I read new books and new works by different authors. But I want to talk about the top 5 for now. And again, this is just my top 5. They're not in any particular order. And I may, there's definitely a whole bunch of other authors that I love so much that I won't mention in this video. First, I wanted to say that one of my absolute favorite authors is Kimberly Lawson Roby. You've heard me talk about Kimberly Lawson Roby probably in every video that I've made thus far. If you haven't, then that's rare because I talk about her often. But you know that if you've been watching any of my other videos, other than the Black Lives and Black Books video, I've talked about how I'm currently reading her Reverend Curtis Black series. And I'm now on book 14 out of 15 in that series. That is a long series. And I'm reading that, and I'm going to finish that up by the end of this month. And I'll be doing a review on the whole series. So if you're a Kimberly Lawson Roby fan or interested in reading that series, stay tuned because I'll be talking about that in early August sometime. So I started reading her books in 2008. My sister actually got me into reading her books. I had not really heard about her, and my sister had, and my sister's not even a reader. But she told me about her books, and she said, "You'll like them." So my sister got, and excuse the car that you hear zooming by if you hear it in the video, but my sister got me one of the books, and I think it was Casting the First Stone, so it was the very first one in the series. And I read that one, and then I got another one out of order, and I don't remember which one it was, and I read that one. And then I kind of just didn't read anymore for a while, and I might have got like book 5, or I started collecting them, but I was getting them all out of order. And so then last year, I believe it was last year, I decided I want to read the whole series from beginning to end in order and back to back, or either like every other book, like I read one other book and then read a Kimberly Lawson Roby book in that series. So anyway, I've been enjoying it. It's a great ride. The books are about Reverend Curtis Black and his family and some friends. So it kind of has some, I would say there's all types of sequels, but kind of almost companion novels, at least towards the end, because it veers off into other people's lives as well. It's humorous. Some parts are very serious. It talks about various different things, or the series talks about various different things revolving around Curtis Black and his family and the church. I mean, it talks about all types of topics. Sometimes it's just way over the top. Again, you will laugh sometimes, and just a great series. And right now I'm reading Sin of a Woman, and I'm really liking this one. So I can't wait to talk about that one, but I'm really liking this one. So that's that series. So the other book that I've read by her is A Deep Dark Secret, and that book is way more serious. So it's talking about a topic about a 12-year-old girl that seems to have a perfect life, perfect family, perfect neighborhood, all of that. But there's a deep dark secret. There's something going on in the family, and there's something tragic that is happening to this young lady that she has not told the family. And so you go along this journey with this young girl, and finally we see if she tells and what will happen to the family dynamic once she tells that deep dark secret. That one is more of a tearjerker. It's more heavy. Excellent writing. I do suggest it. Another book that I have coming up that I'm going to read of hers is called Copycat, and this book has kind of a single white female feel, if you will. So I'm excited about reading that because I love any movies that kind of have that type of theme. So it's a woman, she makes friends with another woman. She finds this woman to just have this amazing life, and now she wants to imitate that life. And the woman that's doing the imitating has some secrets that she will do anything for to not get out. So you can kind of see where that's going. This is, the single white female is Lifetime like. It's other types of movies that we've seen even in theaters type of movies, and I think that was going to be really good. Excited to read it. And then finally, she has a new book out that's called Becoming the Woman God Wants You to Be. And I hope I've said that title right. And this one is nonfiction. So, and I believe this is her first nonfiction book. And she has several other standalone titles that I haven't read yet that I plan on reading one day. But this one is a nonfiction book. And it's talking about how to grow spiritually in faith, professionally, in your personal life, and of course spiritually. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. I think that it'll be excellent, kind of probably a good inspirational book for me. And I want to say a little bit about Kimberly Lawson Roby. So you can kind of tell her books, you know, the series of Curtis Black is surrounded around church. In her book, she talks, you know, there's sometimes scripture. These people aren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But Kimberly Lawson Roby, you know, seems to have a spiritual side, a faith side. And so I think this book is finally, the new book is finally exploring that and letting us get into that more and helping people, you know, get in touch with that as well. And I've met Kimberly Lawson Roby, and one of the things that makes her my favorite author is her spirit. She is one of the nicest, most beautiful people that you will ever meet. She is friendly. She is down to earth. Her story is awesome about how she became this best-selling author. When you read her books and her acknowledgments, you can see how family-oriented she is. And even in like on Twitter, you know, if you mention her or something, and she sees it, she's going to thank you. I mean, she responds to things. She's just awesome. I'm in a book club on Facebook, and, you know, I think she might be part of that, or she's friends with the woman that does that particular book club. She's chimed in there and thanked us, you know, when we're saying good things about her books. So just a great person. That helps with the reading. I mean, for me, not that makes you necessarily a better author, but it just makes you appreciate that author and their work that much more. So the next person that I would like to talk about that is one of my favorite authors is Stephen King. So you've heard me talk about Stephen King a lot. I am a scary person. You ask my family, you ask my friends, I am terrified. I go to the movies, I entertain people because I'm screaming, but I see scary stuff, and there's some things I won't see, and I read scary books from time to time. Stephen King is one of those authors whose books I will read. And I think that I like to read his books because his books are scary, but they also make you think. Sometimes they're not that spooky scary, but they're just more people scary, or in the case of Cujo, dog scary. I like his books because, again, they make you think. They make you think about things that maybe could happen. And his art is amazing. So that's why I love him. I didn't say what my favorite book was by Kimberly Lawson Roby, and I can't choose, but I do want to tell you what my favorite book is by Stephen King, and that is Carrie. That book is phenomenal. I did not read that book until a few years ago, but I'd seen the movie when I was little and several times after. And that movie scared the mess out of me. I don't even know why as a child I was able to see it. But anyway, the book is awesome. The way it's written is like an interview form. So they're interviewing people that knew Carrie or seen things that happened. And I mean, the writing is amazing. To be able to be that creative is just something I aspire to be able to do. And so that's one of my favorite. The other books, that I've read are Night Shift. That's the first Stephen King book that I read when I was, I think, in 5th grade. And so I remember reading it, and during English class, he would let us pick our books and read them out in the hall. And my teacher, his name is Mr. Scoggin, and shout out to him if he ever sees this video because he's my favorite teacher. And anyway, I read that as 5, or not 5, I don't remember how many short stories were in that book. And so I don't even remember all of the stories. I just remember enjoying them a lot. And it seems like one was about somebody whose hand had all these eyes on it or something creepy. And I just started reading the books. So I've read it. I've read Pet Sematary. That would be my scariest of the Stephen King books where it actually scared me at night. I read Cujo. I've read Thinner. I've read Misery. I read The Stand. Most recently, I've read The Institute. The Institute will just mess you up. That book is so good, but just so disturbing. And Stephen King doesn't hold back on who he's going to hurt, harm, or anything like that. So that makes him a good author as well. And I read several other books. I know I'm missing something, and like some type of like big book that I should be mentioning, but I can't remember offhand right now. So I've read those books, and I'm going to read If It Bleeds. That's his newest book, and that is on my to be read shelf, and you've probably seen that if you've watched one of my videos. And that one is also another short story book, so he's really good at the short stories. Another one of my favorite authors is Terry McMillan. And Terry McMillan is just, her books really make you, they make you look introspectively at your life as you're reading the characters' lives. Sometimes they're disturbing. They, get to you. They make you laugh. They make you cry. They make you look at your own relationships and your own family dynamics. And that's why I love Terry McMillan. Out of her books, I would say my favorite is probably How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Because again, if you've watched any of my videos, I like the light stuff. So I like the happy, stuff. I love that this woman goes to Jamaica and meets this young man and all of that. You've probably seen the movie. I also have read Waiting to Excel, and then Getting Back to Happy. So there's Waiting to Excel, and then there's Getting Back to Happy. And Waiting to Excel is the first book, and that is about a group of friends and the different things that are going on in their lives. So you have one that's trying to find love. Another example is the other one is having problems or serious problems in their relationship and is no longer having that relationship anymore, etc. So you get into the lives of these friends. Getting Back to Happy lets us see a lot of years later how these women are doing. So that one is good. That's the sequel to Waiting to Excel. I read Mama, and Mama is very compelling, and it just the book is about a woman that, like her, she's an adult woman with older children, and her kids are her life. And I don't have kids, but I've have women in my family, or know of women where their kids are their life, and or their lives, and how she deals with that, and how she's that matriarch of the family. Another book that I read was Disappearing Acts. I would probably say out of all of them, that was my least favorite. Even though I did like it, it just bothered me. It's a love story. And some of that love was getting on my nerves. You'd have to read it. You've probably seen that movie as well. And another thing about Terry McMillan, when a lot of your books are going into movies, you are dope. So Terry McMillan is just amazing. Another book, let's see. I've read so many of her books. The Interruption of Everything, A Day Late and a Dollar Short. That book just really stuck with me. And that book talks about family again. And again, she loves to get into these family dynamics. And this book, she talks about the relationship of a woman, the main character, and her children, and what type of relationship she has with them. And it talks about the strain and, maybe the distance and all those types of things. And another part of that book that really got to me is the main character has really bad lung problems. It may have been asthma. I have asthma. In fact, when I was reading it, I was having an asthma flare-up. And the book was scaring me, but it is a good book. So that's just some of the books that I've read by Terry McMillan. Of course, she has a new one out, and I've shown you the one that I have on my shelf, and right now I can't even think of the name of it because I'm going to botch it up if I say it. But so I'm going to be reading more Terry McMillan. Have been just a great author. I've had the chance to meet her as well. She is witty. She's just quick. She's smart. And she knows her stuff when it comes to writing, and it just comes naturally to her. She's just great. So another author that is one of my favorites in the top 5 would be Angie Thomas. And you're probably tired of me saying her name. You're going to hear it some more. So When she keeps making books, you're probably going to keep hearing me talking about it because she is just so good. The two books that she has is On the Come Up and The Hate You Give. Of course, The Hate You Give is the first one. That's already been made into a movie. There's some buzz that On the Come Up is going to be a movie too. But The Hate You Give, that book, you'll go through your range of emotions. You're going to be happy. You're going to be sad. You're going to be super angry. You're going to be disturbed, upset. And it's just a great young adult novel, but great for grown women like myself as well. And it talks about Bree. Star. I got it mixed up. Bree is in On the Come Up. But Star, she is the main character, and she witnesses her best friend, gets shot by the police. So some trigger warnings in that book, but a lot of social justice talk, a lot of things that transpire that shows how people have to struggle with this and how to try to fight it and speak out against it. Excellent book. On the Come Up, again, excellent. This one talks about Bree, as I said before, and Bree is a up and coming, she's a teenager, another young adult another young adult character, and she wants to be a rapper. And so her dad, who was killed years ago, was a rapper. And so Bree is struggling with trying to find herself as this type of artist, and what image does she want to portray. And then there's some other things going on in the backstory in terms of racism and things, disparity that are going on in her school, and things in her family as well. So that's Angie Thomas. Great author. Haven't met her yet. Would love to if I ever get the chance. And so, I've gone over Kimberly Lawson Roby, Terry McMillan, Angie Thomas, and Stephen King. Last but not least is Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston is an author that exploded during the Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance. So this was in the early 1900s, and that was in the 1920s, 1930s when that was all happening. And the reason, I've only read one book by Zora Neale Hurston, and for her to be, if I would say I have a favorite author, it would be her. It's just because she is just that. I'm about to date myself. She's just that bad. She was an anthropologist, okay? So she was an anthropologist, an activist, and an author. She never stuck to the mold of what women did back in the day. So you already like her, and you see that in her writing in Their Eyes Were Watching God. So that's the one book that I've read. She's written many essays and short stories as well, and I need to read those. What I love so much about Their Eyes Were Watching God, I mean, I can literally picture the cover of the book in my mind as I'm talking about this, and I love that book. I mean, I just love it. It follows Janie, and she's a young woman who grows up in Florida during the early 1900s, and we follow her as she navigates in a world where women are expected to have a certain role and kind of just deal with it and like it. And she doesn't, and she goes against it a lot. And it's not even in some type of she's just trying to be this rebel way. It's in a way where it's just not working for her. She's not happy. She does not understand it. I mean, it starts with her grandmother marrying her off to this older man. Because her grandmother wanted her to be well taken care of, and marries her off, and then he just basically has her as a maid, and all of this. And if you watch The Color Purple, it kind of has that feel. Then she goes on to another person, and he's affluent, and and you would think this would be better, but it's still not, because she's having to live in this box that he has put her in, even though she might have material things and even status. Excuse me, it doesn't matter to her. And then finally she meets the last man that we see in the book, and his name is Tea Cake. And her and Tea Cake in that relationship, oh my goodness, it's just, you just love it. You love their love. And he's not your typical, he's not some Prince Charming, great job type of guy. He's a gambler. He's kind of a wanderer. But Tea Cake is really good for her. There's some disturbing things regarding abuse in this book. Their Eyes Were Watching God. But overall, it is a great book. And if you're into black woman magic, or woman power, and it's not even trying to be like a feminist book or anything, but if you're into that, you're going to love that book. So Zora Neale Hurston, I would say, if I had to say who is my favorite, she is my favorite just by one book. She was my favorite, and she would just be somebody that would be amazing to be able, if I could go back in time, who would I talk to? It would be her. If I could go back in time and I had to choose an era in which I would live, and I'm glad to be where I'm at, but if I had to do it, it would be the Harlem Renaissance. I would want to be right there with all of that black art and that black music and all of that exploding. So those are my top 5 authors, and I would love to hear from you and find out who your top 5 authors are, or you can give me your top 10. We can just talk about authors, period. What you like about one or not the other or whatever. So tell me about those in the comments. I would definitely love to chat with you about it. In addition, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and please get notifications so you know when I have new videos get out. Tell a friend about the channel, and just enjoy the rest of your week. Until the next time, be book nerdy and be blessed.